on. We're talking about Homicide. Talk a bit about, again, another ensemble cast. Talk a little bit about the people that made that up. If you want.
Well, Andre Brower, when we cast the show, it was an ensemble show, but Andre Brower really stepped up fairly quickly as such an extraordinarily gifted actor, so all the writers started to go, oh, well, I'll write for him. No, I'll write for him. So everybody started writing for him. That isn't to diminish how good the other actors were. Melissa Leo and Ned Beatty, Kyle Secor, Richard Belzer, Yaphet, Clark Johnson. I mean, it was a great cast, and they were each very different from each other. They were also, given that it was television, probably the least attractive cast of any show on television, at least certainly at that time. Because, TV, they're always trying to make you, where's the pretty blonde girl, where's the hunky, guy. And we didn't have any of those things. Our hunky guy was Danny Baldwin, but what that allowed us to do is to have real character actors as leads. And so you got the benefit of all of the weight that a character actor brings that sometimes a pretty boy actor doesn't.
And what about the stories themselves? How did you construct the stories?
Well, in a very haphazard way, we would, Dick Wolf always said that on Law and Order they ripped them from today's headlines, and I always said that we ripped the headlines, stuck them in a drawer, waited till they got yellow, and then took them out and went, okay, what was this story really about? Because there's something about the sensationalism of certain stories that burn bright for a couple of days, but don't really get to the meat of the story. Don't really get to the spirit of what a story is about. So if you take a story and you wait a year to tell it, you actually have more information and can tell it, I think, more fully than if you just go, oh, this happened yesterday, let's write an episode about that. I think the essence of it was that these men and women who were homicide detectives, whereas I get up every day and face a blank piece of paper, they get up every day and face a dead body. And what is the long-term effect, emotionally, physically, spiritually, on each of them facing that dead body every day? That's what the show, I think, was really about. And so the stories that we chose were chosen to feed into that ongoing, I was going to say progression, but I'm not sure it's a progression, that ongoing development of each character. And so, some of the stories were funny because we felt that there needed to be humor in the show. And some stories were brutal because you wanted to see what a human body could degenerate into because of death. We wanted things to be, and then in between it, we also tried to figure out what conversations they would be having in the car on the way to the murder, in the car on the way back, in the squad room having lunch. What were the conversations? I don't often watch the shows that I do because as I said, I want to rewrite them all and reshoot them all. But I caught a scene from a Homicide episode a couple of months ago. It was on, I don't even know what network. And it was like a 5-minute scene, and nobody talked about the murder or murder. It was stuff about life. It was just people who having a conversation, and it wasn't just even about one thing. It was a little, this one was going on a date, and this one was trying to start a business, and this one was talking philosophically about something else. And I watched it, and I was like, whoa, Jesus, you couldn't get away with that now. Because we live in the world of procedural crime dramas where every moment has to be measured by the case, and the case is all that's important. And to us, the case was never important. The case was the least important part of the story.
As the series went on, and the viewers and maybe even you learned more about the desensitization, how did that affect the writing and the storylines?
Well, one of the things we decided early on was that in the first episode, Pembleton is this hardcore, I can get anybody to confess in the interrogation room. And I don't care if I have to bend the rules, and I don't care about their rights. I'm going to get the bad guy. I'm going to send the bad guy away. Kyle Secor's character, Bayless, comes in the first episode, and he's this I'm so excited to be here, working on homicide. These are the best, these are the smartest people. But he's got an idealism to it. And what we decided was, over the course of the life of the series, that the two of them, because they were partners, would pass each other. And by the end of their individual stories, Pembleton would be, I don't want to go back in that interrogation room, and I don't want to get someone to confess. I don't want that anymore. I can't do that anymore. Bayless ends up murdering somebody. So we wanted the stories to pass each other and kind of reflect on each other, and that's typical of the kind of journeys we devised for the characters. Some less clearly than others, and of course some actors left the show and others characters came out, so you had less time to build those building blocks,
Yeah. While we're talking about interrogation, 3 Men and Adina. Talk about that episode.
Well, I'll tell you a dirty little secret about 3 Men and Adina. We had gone to, at the time when the show was picked up, the first season, we only had 6. It was picked up for 6. It was later extended to 9. And we were going to Baltimore, and up to that point, they had shot in Baltimore Barry's movies, John Waters' movies, and TV commercials. And I was terrified going down there that this was going to be the most expensive failure in the history of television. And Barry also wanted only feature directors to direct the episodes. So I'm like, oh, great. Now I'm in a place that never made a television show, and I'm going to have feature guys who are going to be going, oh, no, we got to wait for the light, and, all that featurey, stuff. So I was terrified that we were going to be incredibly over budget. And I said, well, wait a minute, let me write an episode that's like a Playhouse 90. Now, Playhouse 90 was an old anthology series in the 50s from when I was a kid, and they would do 1 set, 2 sets, they would do an hour drama, and it would be 3 actors and 2 sets. And it would cost them $1 to make the show. So I went, okay, after the 5 episodes, if we're incredibly over budget, it'll be 3 actors and 1 set. And we have the set, and we have 2 of the actors. We just have to hire 1 actor. This is like going to save money. So I wrote the episode, and I had been reading various interrogations techniques, actual like transcripts of interrogations. I was fascinated by the whole way people deal with each other in the room. Anyway, so I wrote it, and we shot it, and next thing I know, it's nominated for an Emmy, and the next thing I know, it wins the Emmy, and I'm walking